59, boy.
I got 8 o'clock on my Mac. You got 8 o'clock, Shonda?
I got 8 o'clock.
I got 8 o'clock on.
I guess I'm 1 minute behind, huh?
That might be the Android time. Welcome everybody to another episode of Talk Miami. Welcome back. It's 8 o'clock. We're gonna jump right into it. Guess who's hosting tonight? Who's hosting tonight?
You wait, that way.
I am Ryan David. I'm hosting tonight, and in a minute I'm going to introduce my co-host. But let's get right into it and drop this video on you guys. I'm going to get that intro going, and then we will jump into the intros. So, welcome everybody. I'm glad you guys could join us tonight. We are going to get into it. Got a couple of topics tonight for you guys. But yeah, hold on a second. I'll be right back. All right, family. So we're gonna do this first time ever. I'm the official host. I've been a co-host for a couple of weeks, but you have no idea what it is to run this show. I first want to give a shout out and mad props to the ladies who have been hosting this show. We kind of juggle a little bit. I found out a little more how this thing works, and so we take turns officially hosting. But there's always at least one person behind the scenes, really running and navigating the show. You might not know who it is until we say we're the officials, but when we say that, what that means is we're pulling all the switches and we've put things together and we all contribute in our own way. But this is a lot of work really to get it together, to make it, to really send it out to you. So y'all have been doing this every week. One of y'all have been doing this every week. I've just been riding a wave. Like I've been a guest pretty much every week now. I'm the one behind the scenes having to pull these triggers. So just want to welcome everybody in. There's a couple of comments. Hello, Kimberly. What I want today,
Kimberly,
you see somebody.
is faithful.
Obviously, somebody's missing. I'm going to go around for a second and let everybody introduce themselves. For those of y'all who don't know my co-host, first of all, it's a privilege for me to host tonight, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and hosting every once in a while. We're going to juggle it, but we see somebody's missing. Obviously, Cindy's not with us tonight. She's in Dubai. But who we do have here, we have to my left. Did I get it right? I got it left. We have Shonda. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Roberts. Happy Monday. Glad to be back. I have been traveling, but I'm glad to be back. I missed y'all. I feel like missing a week seems too long.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And I'm going to pass it down to the beautiful lady with the shortcut.
Ooh, I'll receive it. Wait, first of all, there is the Ryan David and there is the Dr. Shonda. Can I say I am the TK Owens?
You can say whatever you like. You introduce yourself.
You see, Shonda said no.
No, it's her introduction. She can introduce herself however she wants to. Go ahead, TK.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am the TK Owens. It is great to be here for another night of Talk Miami Talk Show. I am so proud to have Ryan with us. And with that being said, I'm going to toss it back up to the host, Mr. The Ryan David.
Thank you so much. And again, if you're a regular and you're tuning in, welcome back. If it's your first time tuning in, whether it's maybe I've brought somebody from my audience over, or you don't know who I am, it's your first time coming back in. I am Ryan David, psych professor, leadership, holistic lifestyle coach, and former school counselor. Again, just glad to be joining these ladies and talking about different things each and every week, bringing conversations up that maybe hard conversations that you have with your family and your friends, but don't really know or haven't had an opportunity to have public conversations. This is the place we can talk about it here. That's and just have a conversation that maybe moves something forward or helps us understand things a little bit better. I really enjoy talking with these ladies. So tonight we're going to get a couple of things. That's me. We just did introductions. A couple of topics I have for this evening, but first things first, what I wanted to do was there's really something that we have to address tonight. We won't be back until next Monday, but between now and next Monday, there's a certain someone who's going to have a certain event. And I just want to make sure that we recognize that person. And that person is Shonda. And that event is, what is that event?
It's my birthday.
It is her birthday. Exactly.
Is it really?
Make sure that we have a happy birthday for Shonda. We give her that shout out.
To you. Happy birthday. Oh.
Happy birthday.
Y'all know I'm water bag. My eyes are welling up.
Wait. First of all,
Shonda,
you.
what's up, Shonda? What you
Y'all,
gonna do for your birthday?
Who having an event? You didn't see. Oh, y'all know I am a water bag. Thank y'all so much.
Sure, of course. So your
Lord.
birthday's officially Thursday, right? So we
Yes.
got to celebrate it. Obviously, give you a happy birthday. Everybody needs to leave a comment. Give Sean a happy birthday in
Look
the
at this
comment
one.
section. Give her a
Look
shout out,
at
man.
this
Not to
one.
celebrate.
That's
She
my
will be
sister.
35. She'll be 35 on
Yeah,
Thursday.
right,
That's
Ryan.
right.
Stop the lies.
That's
Stop the
right.
lies.
Thank you, Ryan. That's my brother right there. Thank you, Ryan.
Everybody show Shonda, Dr. Shonda, some love. Happy birthday, Shonda.
I got a question, Shonda. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna celebrate this birthday? And how do you typically celebrate your birthday the same way every year?
I don't know how I'm going to celebrate this birthday. Hint, hint to anybody listening.
Could you?
We went away this weekend with some other couples, and that was my pre-celebration. I'm happy if nothing else happens, honestly, because I had a good time. I thank God for life. I thank God for every day that I'm able to open my eyes. But that being said, I am taking brunch and breakfast and dinner invitations all month long from June 6th to June 30th. You all can call me, text me, email me. I am willing to go to lunch, breakfast, brunch, drinks, whatever it is. Anytime you want to spend time with me, let me know. I am available.
There it is.
That's it.
Open invite to take Shonda out and celebrate her birthday all month long.
How she celebrate the whole month and she's
The
like
whole
the
month.
beginning of the month?
I can't be mad at her. Hey, TK, I got a question for you, TK. Since we're talking about birthdays and since you're here, and I want to hear from the audience too. I want to hear from anybody listening or watching. How do you celebrate your birthday, or do you celebrate your birthday? And how do you celebrate your birthday if you do?
Shonda, is he asking the person that
You listen, you think I'm extra? Yeah.
Wait, am I extra? Or are you just basic?
No, you're extra.
The doctor, listen, Ryan, I am big on birthdays.
Good.
So every year I actually throw an annual brunch with all of my girls. It's not even just the top 5. Every woman that is in my life celebrates that moment with me over brunch. I select the restaurant, I select a theme. We must wear either a certain color. We must wear a certain outfit.
Okay.
It's always something, right,
Okay.
Shonda?
Okay.
And Shonda shows up, even though she sells out. She shows up.
I'll be right
So
now.
it's funny that you mentioned that you throw it, that you throw your birthday. And it's funny, and also that you mentioned, Shonda, that you celebrate life, because those are the absolute 2 things that I would encourage people to do. A lot of people, it really is, it's sad to me when I hear people say they don't celebrate their birthday or they don't do anything, because one of the things that happens is I think that when you're younger, other people throw birthday parties for you. When you're a kid, when you're a teenager, like there's surprises. And as you get older, though, those parties, just like most things with most adults, the more lame they get, the more lame it is for you if you depend on them. So I think one thing I would tell everybody when it comes to your birthday, first of all, Shonda hit on the head. Absolutely. If you don't celebrate any other day of the year, absolutely celebrate your birthday, because that is the day that you were born. That really represents celebrating life to me every year. Like I say, Shonda, like that, you hit on the head with that. So one, celebrate your birthday because you're celebrating life, really, if nothing else.
That's right.
And take that moment to be grateful for everything, your life or whatever. But 2, you got to throw your own party, man. You've got to throw your own party. If other people show up and do something as a surprise, but you really have to throw your own party first, and then everything else is extra. TK said it best. Like, you got to throw your own party, and I do it every year as well.
Ryan, I celebrate me. To me, self-love comes first. Yes, there are people who are there. To me, when you throw yourself a party and you celebrate it, no one's going to celebrate you the way that you can. And everyone who loves you will be there for you. I do like surprises, but my best friend, Punka Moody, Nicole, as we know, is Nicole Moody. She knows how I am. I'm very particular on certain things, so you have to get it right. And if not, I throw it to my capacity.
You did it. You said it though, TK. Like you invite all the women in your life, like everybody, because like for me, I'll throw the party, but it's not necessarily because I want a party. It's because I want the people in my life to have a party. Like I want to celebrate you all and being in y'all's life, and y'all being like, so I want to throw a party for everyone to have a good time. I'm celebrating my life. So my birthday oftentimes becomes about the people that I'm close to, that I care about, that I love. So just a little side note, Shonda gave me the inspiration.
Ryan, I just want to forewarn you. TK's big birthday is coming up. I think next year, the year after.
Next year, my big 50th.
I'm letting you know now. Just be prepared.
Well, she
It is
said
a
it's
full
all the women in
production.
her life, so I won't get the
No, no,
invite.
no,
to
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no,
For women.
no.
Okay. All
And
right.
I'm just letting you know, we've been talking about this party since last year.
Oh boy, she's skipping
Okay.
48 and 49, jumping straight to 50.
Because it's going to take a year of planning, Ryan.
All right.
Do you understand this production?
I do.
This is
yeah.
a production, okay? It is going to take a year.
I'm
And
here
just
for
know,
it.
just know that
Okay.
November, Ryan, be ready, because you guys don't even know that you're the host of my birthday. Like,
November. We'll do it. November 2023. So over
Yes.
a year and a half.
Yeah. Oh, because we have rehearsal, we have tech, sound, and lighting. Okay. Okay. So it's gonna take a year of planning.
Did she say rehearsal, Shonda?
Yes, but she's serious.
Wow.
I'm serious. Ask my
Okay.
bridesmaids for my wedding. I am
I
very
like it.
serious.
I like
Thank you.
that though. I like that.
Thank
I'm a
you.
fan. What about you guys? Leave a comment. Let me know. Do you guys celebrate your birthday? Do you have a birthday ritual? What do you all do each and every year? Anything special? Place that you go? I used to like to travel pretty much every year. I'm just curious. How do y'all feel about birthdays? Do you have something that you do? Do you look forward to them? Is it something that we didn't mention that you guys have? So share that with us. I'm curious about that. And let me know, you guys, if you see anything in the comments from them. So I guess let's just jump right into topic number one today, because I mean, Cindy's not here, but we could probably still find a way to kill the whole show by just, chatting. But topic number one, let me jump into topic number one. I'll put it up there for you guys. You might have seen it. You might have seen it in the social media, but so topic number one is a conversation that I've actually had with my classes in the past, and I've talked about it in relationships. I don't know how you all feel about relationships, but I'm a relationship guy. I'm really, really big on relationships, not just personally, but also professionally, trying to coach people to have healthy relationships. There's a lot of different relationships out there. And so let me run this banner real quick. Casey says that TK's wedding dance was 100% legit. Choreography, production value, the works. She's not lying, Shonda. Apparently she's legit.
I was there. It was a show.
Thank you. It was
I'm not
concert.
dancing, but I'll go to your birthday party. That's for sure. I got you.
Never say never, Ryan.
I didn't say never, but I said I'm not going to. So topic number one, ladies, my question for you is this. What comes first in a relationship? And it doesn't just have to be an intimate romantic relationship, by the way. But when you think of relationships, what comes first, respect or trust? I'm just curious to get your takes before I give mine, and also share some feedback that I got on social media that I put a little poll up for. So for you all, what comes first in a relationship, respect or trust, and why is really the most important question? Shonda, you go first.
Okay. So I've been thinking about this question since we put it in our own chat. And I did not go to a romantic relationship first when I thought about my answer, because I've been in, different type of relationships, friendships, work environment, church environment. So I instantly thought, and what came to my mind was, I don't think I can take one without the other, or one will come. I think they go hand in hand for me, because if I don't respect you, I can't trust you. And I feel vice versa. And because respect is a big deal to me, and also trust, because I've been in situations where I've had a leader that I did not respect. And I told them that I take it back. I had a leader that did not trust. And I told him, I do not trust you as my leader. And I felt I lost respect for him at that point to be able to tell him I don't trust him. So to me, that's what the first thing came to my mind. I don't think I can have one with the other, or one comes before. I believe they're both a same balance for me.
TK, your take? Agree, disagree, different take?
I wouldn't necessarily say I disagree, because whatever works for her, when you say the word relationship depends on those two individuals. So if that works for Shonda, I can agree that they both go hand in hand, but I do look at it differently. To me, respect is given, period. It doesn't matter who it is. That is something that is given. And trust is something that is earned. Mm-hmm. So if we're in a relationship, to me, I even deserve respect from the moment we start dating. The first time you take me out, everyone deserves respect. Mm-hmm. I come from an upbringing that I treat the maintenance guy the same as the CEO. It doesn't matter the title. It doesn't matter how I look at them. everybody deserves respect. But over time, trust is then earned. I'm looking at how you treat me, the things that you say to me. If you broke that trust, it's your responsibility for me to regain that trust. So that is something that's earned. But regardless, respect teaches you how to love me, because your level of respect for me will, if you say to myself, I respect that girl enough to not cheat on her, that's a level of respect. So to me, respect is actually the one that actually creates the trust. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. Casey's got something to say there. That's where I was going. So my take on this is a little bit more technical. Remember what the question is. Throw that question back up there for me, Tiggy. The question is which one comes first. It's not which one means more. It's not which one is worth more. It's not which one do you prefer. For a healthy relationship to grow, for a healthy relationship to grow and to advance, yes, absolutely, both are fundamental. Okay. The question was which one comes first. And I think TK alluded to where I'm going with this. This is what I want you to think about when it comes to trust or relationship. Now, first, before I give you my response, I'll tell you what the poll said on Instagram. And it looks like the majority of the people on Instagram put this poll up. I said, which one comes first in a relationship, trust, respect, or trust? And 83% said respect and 17% said trust. Now, my question is, and by the way, the answer is respect comes first. Let me tell you why in a relationship. Now, respect comes first in a relationship because of the possible consequences or outcomes that can take place if one of them goes wrong. Let me just explain. TK said it best. Respect. What does it cost you to respect other people? At most, at worst, Shonda, you get disrespected, right? But what does that cost you if you give respect, which, by the way, is how it has to happen? Let me back up for a second. What did I say? 83% of the people got it right on the poll. They said respect comes first. Now, my question to them would be, does that mean that you think you get respect first and then you get trust? Most people are egocentric in their relationship. And what they think about is what they should get, what they deserve, what comes to them first. That's the wrong way to look at it. Whether it's love, trust, or respect, you have to look at what you're providing, what you're giving first. And of all of those, the least, I guess you could say, risky one is respect. What does it cost you to respect other people, to respect a stranger? It doesn't cost you anything. So from the jump, when you get into any relationship, you start with respect, genuine, pure respect too, not phony or fake, genuine respect. What do you do then? You provide a foundation potentially for that relationship to build a friendship into something further that you can then start building trust incrementally. But first has to be respect. And why? Once again, think about it. So I give you respect in a relationship. The worst thing that happens is I'm disrespected. That tells me a lot about you. I move on. There's no relationship. But what happens if I first off top don't know you as pure stranger, give you trust, any level of trust? What can happen then? My trust can be broken. And when your trust is broken, that's a little bit more problematic or risky, I should say. Well, I should say it's a little bit potentially more problematic than respect, being disrespected, because what can happen if your trust is broken? You can be taken advantage of financially, physically, emotionally, so on and so forth. So when you give trust, the risk is higher. So in a relationship, you don't give that until you have a relationship that you really trust in to give trust to someone else. And respect will be the foundation in which you really start to build whether or not you're going to incrementally build trust. So my point is, which comes first? You really want to establish a foundation of respect between two people to then see if the relationship is trustworthy. You can't go in and trust first before you respect, because first of all, that's not intelligent to do. You'll be taken advantage of and you could potentially be affected in a negative way. So that's why I say, regardless of what you feel about both of those, they are absolutely critical and essential in your relationship. But what I say is you want to look to establish, I say there's always, I talk about it too. There's two fundamental prerequisites and necessities for any relationship to be healthy and to grow. And those two fundamental prerequisites are communication and respect. If you don't have communication or respect, the relationship will not grow. You can stay in it, but it won't be healthy and it won't grow. From communication and respect, then you start working on trust. But when I say what comes first, I'm talking about which one comes first so that you can have the rest of them. Go ahead, TK.
No, I would love to ask you and Shonda, because now I do agree with Shonda. And can I say this? And like, if you were to answer your question, you're right, Ryan, which one comes first? But can you love someone without those two? Like, truly, a relationship needs trust and respect. Do you agree?
Yeah. You're asking me or Shonda?
But Shonda, both of you guys, whoever wants to take that on. Shonda, you're muted. I
No,
think.
I'll go while she does that. I
Okay.
was going to say that that's a whole nother conversation that
Okay.
really deals with love and the type of love you're talking about. It's
Or how
difficult.
about or how about this, Ryan? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
What can trust lead? I'm sorry, can respect lead to trust? Is the question I have for you.
That's the idea.
Okay.
The more you respect somebody, the more you're willing to at least give them the benefit of doubt of trust to see if that can
Okay.
grow. And the other thing, just to point out, it's maybe obvious for us and we might notice, but people have a misconception of what trust is. Not all or none. It's not black or white. It's not 100% or zero. Trust should be
Mhm.
built. You trust someone incrementally in steps and stages and a little bit at a time to then see, and hopefully that relationship, as you're building that trust, you start to trust them more and more later on. You don't go into a relationship and just say, all right, I'm going to trust you with everything right off top. No, that's not intelligent. Now,
Right.
the respect lends itself to the trust. Now, I just want to speak to the love, and then Shonda, you could jump in. The love is a conversation that you'd have to have, and it's a different conversation, but you'd have to define what you mean by love. If you mean by care for somebody out of love, you actually
Mhm.
can do that. You can do that for someone that you don't trust or respect. Now, it doesn't seem it's really counterintuitive, but if you don't respect somebody or you don't trust them, you're not going to want to, but can you? Sure. Like you maybe
And
have
that's my question. Can
right,
you?
right. So, but that depends on the definition of love. Maybe
Okay.
not. So, Shonda, you made a face, and I'm wondering what it is because you might be thinking what I'm thinking in terms
I don't
of.
even remember why I made a face. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Or
I'm
Shonda,
observant
I
like that.
always hear you say if like, can you love someone if you don't trust them? Is my question to you.
Yes.
But
Okay.
the clarification is we're not talking about being in a loving relationship per se.
Right.
You don't trust
Oh,
someone, you don't have to be in a relationship with them, but you can
Right.
still love them from a distance, care
And
from
that's what I
them
was going to say.
for
I
a
love them over
distance.
there. I love them over there.
Right. That's critical.
Over
From
there.
over there. Right. Exactly. So that's what, when I say love someone, people might be thinking, well, I'm not going to stay with someone or be with someone that I don't trust or respect. Good. Don't. That doesn't mean you can't care for them, quote, love them maybe from a distance. So that's the caveat there when we talk about love, TK. Can you be in a relationship with someone you don't trust or respect? Sure, you can, but it's a fraud.
Right. I was
It's
mm,
going
not
to
a.
say
mm.
when you're in a
Go ahead.
relationship with someone and you don't trust them, like when I say trust you, and I mean friendship, relationship, whatever. I mean personal relationship. I trust you with
Mhm.
my heart. I trust you with my feelings. I trust you with my children. I trust like if I trust you, I need to trust you. And if I can't trust that, if I'm with TK and something goes on, TK gonna have my back, or
Mhm.
even my spouse. If I'm in a situation and my husband's not gonna stand up for me, then I don't trust. You know what I mean? I can't be with you in that aspect. But I can say I love TK, but I'm not going. I can't be her friend because I don't trust her in that situation. You know what I mean? But I still love her. Hey girl, how you doing? If you need something, I got you. But we couldn't be hanging together and doing all that type of stuff because I don't trust you in that aspect.
Right.
Interesting.
So what do you think, TK? What do you think, TK?
She better trust me.
I
I
do
got
trust
you.
you.
No, I mean, I mean, like some people said that they both go hand in hand. And so, can
I
you
think for
love someone?
relationship to work, they mean it goes hand in hand. That's what I think they mean. Not just because, like you said, Ryan said, you can have one without the other, but is it going to work? Is the relationship going to
There
work
you
without one of
go.
the other? No,
Yeah.
it's going to be a fraud. You're not going to be. That relationship is not going to be healthy.
Right. And that's what I'm about. I'm about healthy relationships that are going to grow. And I'm struggling right now. I'm trying to find a button. I should have done this before. But as we're talking about this, I realized,
Mhm.
why didn't your dumb ass pull that slide up and have it ready to go? But I didn't. I have a model. I have a
He talking to
relationship
himself.
model that would really be a good image. And I'm trying to share this tab. So I'm going to share, and I don't know which one of these to really hit. I don't think it's extra camera. It's maybe video file. I don't know if that's what it is or not.
You have a video or image because you can send it to
I
us
want to
and
share
we'll
my
bring it
tab.
in.
I want to share my screen. I want to share a tab.
You can share
So
your screen at the bottom.
Yeah, share your screen right there at the bottom. You see down at the bottom,
yeah,
guys. Sorry,
share
we're gonna
screen, but
actually,
it's a tab.
Ryan is in learning mode. So
No,
see
but
the share.
yeah, I'm on it, but I want to share a tab. I don't want to just share my whole screen. Okay, here it is. I got it. Okay, I don't want
Okay,
to hit the
there you
button.
go.
I didn't want to
Okay.
hit the button. I didn't want to hit the button because I didn't want to trip everything out while you guys were still talking. So here it is. I think here it is. Yeah, here it is. So let's see. Um, this ain't it.
Hey
I got it for
man.
you. I promise I do. Don't hit me with the
Yeah.
Jeopardy music.
I'm going to
Dun,
let me
dun,
add in some
dun,
comments here.
dun.
Don't hit me with the
Yeah,
Jeopardy
go.
music.
Yeah, go over some
So,
comments,
so
Shonda.
there
If
you
you
go.
want.
So this is a model I
Perfect.
came up with years ago. Years ago, I came up with this model as I was teaching about these things. And so the model I came up with was really what are the ingredients to healthy relationships. I've tweaked this a bit, but you see the foundation there. Communication and respect. Those are critical, essential. If you don't have one of those, the relationship will not grow. You can stay in it. You can stay in a dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship with no communication and no respect. You're in a relationship, but it's not going to grow and it's not healthy. You see what happens after you have a foundation of respect and communication? Trust can grow, intimacy can build. You can have passion for each other. So I'm looking at these ingredients, and that's really the model that I'm talking about. What are you ultimately after? Now, I won't get into the other layers, the upper echelons of that hierarchy, but I just wanted to point out this is my thinking and my take. And the reason why, go back to the reason why, and then we can move on. The reason why, at least my take, is because of what it will cost you to trust versus respect. And also what respect provides for you in terms of the bond and the foundation in that relationship with two people. That's really what I mean by what should you do first to build the relationship and to build the foundation of the relationship. Respect costs you nothing and it will get you a lot.
Amen.
And
Amen.
what's the problem that most people have with respect? They try to wait until you gotta give respect to get respect, or I gotta be
No,
respected before
no.
that's ass backwards. That's wrong. That's immature.
Everybody
That's childish, that's
deserves.
selfish. Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything to respect other people. It doesn't cost you anything to have manners. Like it doesn't cost you anything, and the benefits are wide, vast in terms of the benefits for what you can receive in return. So thank you,
Yeah.
Casey, for the compliment on my chart. But I'll tweak it a little bit. But I want to share that with you guys just to see, so you can understand a little bit about where I was coming from as far as my reasoning in terms of the hierarchy of the ingredients. But I was curious to see what are people's ideas, and I saw it in the chat. A few of you guys in the comments were talking about they go hand in hand. You're absolutely right. They absolutely are both essential for a relationship to grow, 100%. But my critical part was which comes first, which one should you dedicate and invest your time in, essentially is the respect part, so that you can have something to actually build true, genuine trust on.
Completely agree with you. Like there's even a level of respect that I have for my mom. Being mom, I know she's watching. Like there's such a level of respect for her that I don't even cuss around my mom. Here I am, an adult, and I can trust me. I got a mouth on me, but I make sure I show her so much respect that I don't cuss in front of her. And if I slip in the middle of anger, I apologize. I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like, so there's that level of respect, and that I hope she understands that's that level of respect that builds the relationship and the bond that we have.
Exactly.
Like, I just truly believe that you just have, everybody deserves respect. Now, how they start breaking that respect is when they start disrespecting you.
Correct. And you have to go ahead, Shonda.
I got a Caribbean mama. You ain't finna cuss around her.
What? Okay.
Dang, you got me wanting to apologize to all the mamas out there listening. I'm over here cussing, man.
No, it's fine on this show.
That's different.
You talking about in front of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just, I was curious about that because, looking at trust and respect, that they're necessary. You know that you need both of those for the relationship to flourish, to be healthy. But what's the priority essentially when you first meet someone, and how can you invest in the relationship at no cost, literally no cost to you, in a way that maybe you build something that's trustworthy? And I think that you should dedicate, and you should really look at respect in that sense. And then slowly, incrementally, you earn trust. And the other thing I'll say is, and I'll move on, is how do you build trust in a relationship? You make investments into what
that's right
has been called an emotional bank account. I do things for you that you consider to be positive, and that's effort. So you say, well, if this person is doing these things for me like this, then I can trust them. And you know what is a huge deposit? Well, there's two things that are huge deposit. Look what you do for your mom. That's a deposit in her emotional bank account. That respect level to appreciate what she believes and whatever the case is, that's a deposit. And so if someone's doing that for you, you might think, well, this is a person I probably can trust because look at what the effort is they're putting forward. And communication is absolutely the other most critical deposit you can make in somebody's bank account. You want to fill somebody up for free. You want to light them up. You want to do something for them. Listen to them, communicate with them and listen to them. Yeah. So that's huge. All right.
Ryan,
so
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Before we end this topic. As far as relationships and red flags, like you, I teach healthy relationships as well, with teenagers and so on and so forth. But as far as red flags, a lot of stuff that I run into when talking to teenagers and adults is respect. That they see that there's no respect or a lack of respect in the beginning. like the person may respect them on one thing and maybe not on something else. That clearly shows that they're disrespectful to them and how they feel. But in because they want the relationship to work and they want the relationship to um, have a good outcome, they stay in it because they're good at this point, but they may not respect them on this point. How do people understand, or how do you get them to pay attention, of course, to the red flags in the beginning, but on all aspects, not just because the red flag is red here, but it's orange on here, or
Yep.
and it's a good thing, it's a good day here, but the disrespect is disrespect. I don't care if they disrespect you
Yes.
today and respect you tomorrow. I
Yes.
don't care if they disrespect you on one topic and they're great on another. Disrespect is
Yes.
disrespect, and I feel in a relationship we should not fold on anything that we feel is disrespectful.
The standard of respect. Correct. My answer to you would be, Shonda, that is in line and on par with one of the biggest mistakes that I find people make. Students and adults, kids, adults, um, across the board. One of the biggest mistakes I find people making mistake. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is they try to be with the person they want to be with and not the person they're actually with. And in other words,
Yeah.
they're with somebody in a relationship and they're trying to have a relationship according to what their idea of that person could be rather than who
Right.
they really are. And a lot of times what I'll tell people to do is I said this on a previous podcast. I think I said is, first of all, pay attention, like you said, to what's right in front of you and accept what's right in front of you and stop
Right.
making excuses. And a lot of times we'll time travel because things aren't working out right now. We'll either go back into the past when they were working out with this person, think, well, they can be like that again. Let me ignore what's happening right in front of me, the disrespect, or we'll time travel to the future and we'll say, well, they'll change. It'll be better.
Right.
It can be something different than it is. Stop playing yourself. Look at exactly what it is right in front of you, because what it is right in front of you is all you really have. You can time travel all you want to make excuses. But the biggest mistake people make is they're in a relationship with someone who they want them to be, who they want someone to be someone that they're not. And so I've said it before. I say, stop listening to what they're telling you and start watching and listening to what they're doing.
When
Listen.
people show you who they
Action.
are, believe
Pay
it.
attention.
Believe
Listen.
them.
Exactly. When people show you who are listening, what that means is if they're being disrespectful, if they're showing you they're being disrespectful, that has to matter right now. You can't make excuses for them. So one of the biggest mistakes, and the short answer to this, Sean, is one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is they'll make excuses for who somebody is today by time traveling to who they could be or who they used to be. Look at it for what it is and stop what they could be. Look, we all could be more. That don't mean they're going to be. Don't be with somebody's potential. Be with someone who someone actually is. And too many people are dating based on potential or fantasy. So that's where they get in trouble with I'll make excuses for the red flags or the disrespect today because it can change and that doesn't always have to be that way. Or, Shonda, they might have such a lack of respect for themselves or low standards themselves that although they know intellectually it's disrespectful, they have such a low standard for themselves, they'll accept that for now.
Oh, Ryan, you just hit on something. We're gonna have you got to bring this topic back.
Okay.
There are some people who grew up in such a disrespectful, unhealthy relationship surrounded around them. So they think it's okay and the norm to be toxic.
Sure.
Like, don't even get me started on that. And they just
we'll come back to that. We'll look at the notes, TK. We'll come back to that. We'll get a topic that we can actually chop this up. I'll say this one last thing to Shonda, and then I'll hand it over to you, TK. Shonda, there's also something else that could take place in terms of those people that you're talking about that really stay in relationships that are filled with disrespect. And TK actually really hit on it. And I'm not trying to get too deep, but you could go deeper with it. Is there's a possibility that person internally somewhere in the nervous system associates love, connection, or relationships with disrespect.
That's all they know. That's all they know.
It's what they're comfortable with. It's what they've always experienced. And so although we know that that's not what you want to do ideally, that's what you're familiar with. That's what you're drawn to. Next thing you know, that's what you consider to be love. You know this in terms of relationships. Shonda, you know this in terms of how people are in terms of abusive relationships. If their parents or somebody else is abusive, even if it's spousal abuse, you get into another one because that's what you associate, not just intellectually, deeply in your nervous system. You're used to that. You're comfortable with that, even though it's unhealthy.
But as adults, you would think, and maybe judgmental, but you would think because you know what it feels like. You did not like it, so why project that on someone else? You can make the conscious decision and say, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to do that to somebody because it was done to me and I did not like it.
Because the reason I'm going to tell you,
go ahead.
as deep as the pain is of being in that unhealthy relationship, the
Mm-hmm.
fear of not having a connection with somebody is stronger.
Yeah.
So they
Don't
stay
want to
there
be
based off the
lonely.
fear of losing the only thing that they have, even though
Mm-hmm.
they don't like what they have. It's deep. You know this. It's
It's
deep. It's a
deep.
lot deeper.
This is
We
deep.
can maybe revisit this. We maybe
Yeah.
can. Right now,
That's
I want
deep.
to I want to keep it moving because we've
Woo,
already been halfway to the show. It's
woo.
8:30 already. But TK, I want to hand it over to you for your motivational moment for the evening, and if you could just give us a few thoughts on what you have going on for us this evening. We don't have Cindy for that jingle, so I'll just say TK's motivational moments.
Yes. All right, Ryan. Hi, everybody. Ryan, thank you so much. Oh my God, what a deep conversation. I thank you for that. Every Monday, I think about what I'm going to talk about, and I either find a motivational, empowering video or some type of quote that I want to share with you. And this is something that I ran across, and it just got my attention. And I just want to speak to all of our listeners out there and just really want you to think about this. So here's today's motivational moment. Ooh, we're going to talk about maturity. Maturity is pausing before reacting and controlling how you respond to things sent to destroy your peace.
Ooh,
Shonda, I better get an amen. I better get an amen,
baby, I'm over
Shonda.
here snapping my fingers. Yes.
And I want to challenge everybody because this is something that I'm actually going through with my daughter. I love talking about her. She's probably watching, but she's 24. And I got to think about when I was 24. I can't keep wondering, like, okay, like making her be me because over time you mature. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, baby, I have to always throw back to what my grandmother would say to me, baby, keep on living. There's going to come a time and a place that you don't need to react to everything. And my daughter, who is 24 years old, and I got to remember she's young. So every time someone says something to her that either insults her or get her upset, she's always replying and commenting instead of just listening. And that's when that word maturity comes in. I'm at the age, y'all heard me say I'm planning my 50th next year. Listen, I don't do arguments anymore. And I'm not saying that I'm running from the problem. I just choose to protect my peace. Okay. I'm at the point when you say 2 + 2 is 5, I'm going to say you correct because I'm not about to argue with someone who's going to always continue to argue with me. So I challenge everybody today to start thinking when someone comes at you via text, post, or something that they say, let that maturity kick in, that sometimes just process what they say first, because sometimes when we speak out of anger we say things that are not true, or sometimes anger does tell someone how you really feel about them,
Mm-hmm.
but it ends up being a regret. So just really think about what you say. Don't be reactive, be productive.
Mm-hmm.
Take it in, process it, let yourself calm down, and then go back to talk to that person later about how that person made you feel. That was something, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and Ryan and Shonda, I'm gonna throw it at you. Based on that question, and I'm gonna pull it back up, based on maturity, okay? Do you really pause and think about something before you respond? Rate yourself from 1 to 10. Do you still need some help in that area, or do you think you've mastered it? I'll be the first one. It took me a long time to get there, y'all. I was that type of person who always got something to say, something to say. But now I just be like, okay. Or silence is golden. You ain't. I'm not about to say anything because you're not even privy to me a response from me, and then that's how you kill a person mentally. An argument between two people is exactly that, two people. But you arguing with yourself if I'm not responding. And that's how you mess them up. Shonda,
Mm.
you think you still need help in that area, or,
I,
be
I,
honest.
be- I believe I have gotten a whole lot better. I would rate myself a 9
Okay,
on a
okay.
scale of 1 to 10. Um, Even when it comes to my children, even in my marriage, even in situations, I'm like, I stop. Usually I'm the one that's jumping off with a response before you can finish your sentence. I got something for you. Now I'm picking my battles. There are some things
Yeah.
I do need to address, but
Come
I
on
have
now.
to wait until I can calm down because I'm very emotional. I'm an emotional being in and out. So I have to make sure I just take my time and respond because I want people to hear what I'm saying and not thinking I'm in my feelings. Because people know
Mhm.
I'm emotional, they love so she just in her feelings. No, I mean what I say. So
Okay.
sometimes I have to take my time. When I have to respond, I stop and take my time to respond. When I don't have to respond, it's okay. You're right. And I have been exiting people from my life on that. Because if you're invested into not agreeing with me every time and you're always finding the problem, then we need to cut ties. Because
There you go.
I'm okay with people not agreeing with me all the time, but let's have some mature dialogue on why you don't agree and why I feel how I feel. But I'm not going to. If you don't mean that much to me, I'm not going into it with you. Okay,
Come on now.
and that's
That's
Yeah.
it.
that maturity.
Yeah,
Ryan.
There's so much to unpack there. We won't do it, but you guys hit
yeah,
on so many things. One of the things that you stole, Shauna, I was going to respond, which was when you said maturity in the context of that quote, really what it looks like there is a big part of that's choosing your battles. And
yeah,
that comes with
Ooh.
maturity because I think choosing your battles, that sounds like a really cliche term or whatever. But when we talk about choosing our battles, really what we're talking about and what you're talking about, TK,
Mm-hmm.
is deciding who you're going to invest energy into
right.
because
Come on
you
now.
only have
Come
so much
on.
emotional bandwidth
I'm
to
gonna put
give
that on
other
the shirt.
people.
Wait, you right
Yes, I know. Write that quote down.
there.
Ryan, I need you to do that. Post that quote. By the way, guys, Ryan shares motivational quotes on his social media. So, Ryan, after this show, you need to post that one. I hope you
Yeah.
remember what you said. You caught that, Sean.
I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna put on the side. They're Ryan David.
It has to do
Yeah,
with
there.
who you invest your energy in, because that's what you're doing when you're paying someone attention or you're responding to them or reacting, and you're giving them your emotions, your attention. That takes effort. As you get older, you get tired. First of all, you ain't got time for that.
Yeah,
But second of all, you start to
Listen.
realize that there's a better place I could be investing this energy, these emotions, and really it's the people
yeah,
you care about and the people that are really supporting you, and you want to invest in those people that can give you a return. But you start to be choosier with who you respond to. Now, this is not a fair question, TK. You asked me to rate myself on from 0 to 1 to 10, right?
Yes.
This is not a fair question because I've been teaching this for literally 10 years and been practicing it for almost 20. So I'm
Come
about
on now.
100 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm about
Woo.
100. I teach
You
this.
better come on, Professor
But,
David.
but it's because I teach the lesson. I teach the lesson of how to transform your reactions into responses. Your reaction is
Mm.
subconscious. You're reacting to somebody. They're triggering your emotions. You're not thinking about your response, and you give them energy and emotion off top because of whatever's going on. I dig into what's going on internally and how can you transition that a little bit so that you can respond in a productive way or choose not to respond
Mhm.
at all, which is also a response. So there's just so much there. But the bottom line is, yes, when you mature, hopefully you learn. You only have so much energy and effort to give other people. You have to choose. It all comes down to a choice who you're going
Choose
to
your
invest
battles.
in. So
exactly.
Pick
for
your
me,
battles.
but what you said, TK, and with the quote, it really deals with like one particular aspect or element of, I'll
Mhm.
put it up there again. Maturity is pausing before you reacting and controlling how you respond to things sent to destroy your peace. But
Mm.
that's very negative in nature because someone's really aiming to destroy your peace or disrupt you. But I live by the philosophy of everything and anything I do, I'm consistently, constantly monitoring my decisions, my choices, and I'm choosing how am I going to respond to this stimuli? How am I going to respond to this quote trigger, to this external thing in the environment? How am I
Ryan
going
gonna
to
break it
respond?
down. You hear
You
me?
you see no, but I got a challenge for him. Okay,
No.
Professor David.
Go
We're
ahead.
all okay. Wait a minute now.
AKA Miss Raven. Go ahead.
We're all human. You're trying to tell me you don't get mad sometimes,
At
Ryan?
all. By no means am I saying that. Now you said
Okay.
what's my ability? What would I consider my ability on a scale of 1 to 10 to be able to choose my response over my reaction? I didn't say if I'm not a robot or anything. Now what happens, TK, is this.
Okay.
I'll give you that. And I learned this actually. I learned this from Tony Robbins as well, studying and reading his books, and he really put it nicely. It's not that I necessarily sometimes can avoid getting upset or angry. It's as
Okay.
soon as I catch myself angry, it's a wrap. It's over. I transform it to something else. I'm not
Yeah,
angry
Mm,
anymore.
yeah,
So
mm.
it's your ability to say, okay, what's your response? But the more you monitor it, the more you actually can transform it in an instant of, I'm not going to get angry about that. I'm going to get
yeah,
something else about it. I want to get into, I'll actually note that down as a conversation about anger, because I think it's a lot of it's that's the most difficult emotion for
woo,
people to have to deal with, and it's the most
woo,
deadliest. Maybe another
woo.
topic we'll talk about anger. But no, by no means do I not get emotional, get upset, get angry per se, but 50,
You
60,
can
90
control it.
seconds max.
How I deal with anger is I literally let me have my moment. Let me either leave this house,
But
let
it's a
me hang
moment.
up this phone. I need a moment to calm
But it's a
down.
moment. But it's just a moment.
Because if you keep pressuring me, you're gonna get it.
You
See,
know what scared me about my anger that I had to learn, because for their safety and my sanity, I had to get it together.
I think this is
Because
the
I
second
get
time you
so
said something
angry.
like that, Sean. I think she said something about other people
You
being
know
safe when
what?
she get.
You know
I had to
what?
watch myself around Shonda, boy. She said, "Watch it."
But you know,
Shonda,
Ryan, when you've overcome being a victim, can't nobody penetrate that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and it takes me there because I'm so hell bent on not being a victim anymore. What
Nice,
I
nice.
was,
Totally
I had to
understandable.
learn how to get through that. But
Totally
my anger
understandable.
really scared me one time. Well, not one time, but it happened several times when I could feel my heart racing
caught
to the
that
point
right.
where my chest is shaking. It's time for me to get
Mm,
it together because someone made me so upset. I was sitting there shaking my leg, and my heart was beating,
mm-hmm.
literally beating out of my chest. I had to calm down because should nobody take me to that point where
Right,
I'm about to
Yes,
have a whole cardiac
yes.
malfunction or something. I
right.
should not do that. And I said, you know what, you got to get it together because should nobody take you there. My heart will be 46 on Wednesday.
What you
Thursday.
say?
There ain't nobody gonna take me out of this world sooner than I need to be. It's
And
not worth it.
Shonda, perfect. And what you have done as you've gotten older and you've gotten more mature, what you've done is hopefully what I teach, which is start to evaluate what exactly it is going on internally with you that's giving
Yeah,
so much power to
Mm,
what they're
yeah,
saying or doing. Because at the end of the day, nobody makes you do anything or feel anything. It's
exactly.
what you're thinking about what they're doing. It's what you're telling yourself about what they said. And somewhere internally from past experiences, maybe something
Hmm.
arises and it really means a lot to you for some reason. And then your emotions happen. So TK, you're
Yeah,
looking
mm,
funny. But I'll say it again. Nobody makes you feel anything. Your emotions, however you feel, comes from what you tell yourself about what
exactly.
they said or what they
that's
did. Does that,
deep.
that make
That's
sense?
deep, Ryan. That's deep.
That's
That's
the
deep.
lesson that I teach. But the maturity comes from practicing these things, guys. Y'all have been practicing them. Shauna's talking about practicing, coming from where she came from and what she went through in the past to
Hmm.
now. That's the practice because you're always going to have this nervous system that's been through the war. But
Yeah,
now you can, I think, what was it, the quote from Casey just now? Your rebound is faster. That's maturity.
yeah,
Yeah.
You don't,
Yes.
you can't necessarily stop from getting upset or getting angry, but the rebound is faster. And so for me, 90 seconds max. You're not going to
yeah,
see me angry because by the time you see me, I'm already something else. Irritated, annoyed, frustrated,
yeah.
disappointed. Those are not anger.
Yes.
So when I get angry, one of the things I do is I'll transform it into something else. Alyssa says, preach Brian. We'll go with Ryan, but Brian works too, whoever it is. Brian David in the building. So, but you understand what I'm saying, ladies, about your perception of what's happening and how you have to take control over that. And
I
from there,
I
you
never
transform your
thought
emotions.
about it that way because we always blame the other person that you took me there.
No.
No, it's
Mm-mm.
what
Here's the
I processed.
here's the problem
It's
Right.
with
what
that,
I
TK, because
processed.
as soon as you blame them for taking you there, you know what they got to do? They got to untake you from that. If you blame someone for what you feel and they're responsible for making you upset, now guess what? You're helpless. They got to make you happy again. I ain't
That's,
giving nobody that power.
you know what? I'm
Mm-mm.
a businesswoman, right, y'all? You know what I'm thinking, Shonda? When y'all call 1-800 Talk Miami to pay for Ryan's services, we're gonna start charging for all his coins.
We can do a
Does he
coaching
dropping some
hotline.
gems?
We can do a coaching hotline. I like it, man. I like it.
He coaching y'all tonight.
All
Yes.
right, let's keep it moving. Man, these things, and that all came from your motivational moment. I mean, these things are great conversations. They could become topics in themselves. So take some notes. We can revisit these if you want to, and check out the comments and see what's going on there. By the way, shout out 15 likes already. I like it.
Yes.
16.
Come on, y'all.
I like it. So I want to jump into the second topic. Don't know how long we'll talk about this. Maybe we'll just touch on it, but I at least wanted to address it or talk about it for a moment. And the second topic I have is a simple question. And the question for you ladies is, what is gender? We hear this term thrown around a lot. We hear the word gender used. We might have our own understanding of what gender is. We hear how it's used in context in terms of the news or maybe conversations. But what is gender to you? And this might be a coincidence because it really wasn't intentional, but this is Pride Month, LGBTQ Pride Month. I'm not sure what they officially term it nowadays because they keep changing it to try and satisfy other people. But the bottom line is we know who we're celebrating this month in terms of Pride Month. But in terms of recognizing individuals this month and with Pride Month, I want to give that recognition there. But this is just a conversation. just to have, we could have any month out of the year. So it's not necessarily geared towards any sort of event or any particular angle or anything like that. I just want to have a conversation with you all about your own personal understanding or definition of this word gender, because it is used so often in the news and very often in the media with transgender. But we don't need to go to a particular story or subject or highlight or headline, but just you've been alive for a couple of decades now. How has your understanding of gender evolved? What is your definition? How do you use it? How do you feel about that word, and what does it mean to you, ladies? And I'd like to hear from you all in the comments. What exactly does that word mean to you all as well? Curious to see what you guys can contribute. So
Ryan, go to Shonda, because look at her facial expression.
Shonda's first, birthday girl. Birthday girl. Shonda's first. Just what is your definition, Shonda? When you hear that word, what does it mean to you? You don't have to get into it in depth, but you have a meaning for that word for you. What is it to Shonda?
I'm looking for my tape that I had.
No. This ain't nothing to take the mouth shut about. Gender ain't no nasty word. It ain't no dirty word.
No,
gender is a word.
It's that people are so sensitive.
Exactly. That's why we're talking about it.
Anything without being canceled. And I don't want to be canceled.
Don't come for us.
Shonda, you can't be canceled for your own explanation or definition and understanding of the word right now. If it evolves after the show because someone says something and you learn, that's what we're about. Right now, though, where do you stand with that term? Like for you,
gender,
for Shonda.
For me, and how it's always been, is your makeup, what you were born. So gender, I'm a female. That's my female gender.
That's right.
A male is a male gender. That's why I understand what gender, what you were born, your genetic makeup.
Okay, I got a follow-up question that might help you a little bit more. Because what you just described to me really is sex. So my question is, what's the difference between sex and gender? And that's
I don't know if there is one. I don't know if there is one.
Okay, that's what we'll maybe explore and unpack. I didn't mean to jump in there, TK. You go ahead and go and give us your.
I was saying he's taking us to class. Are we being graded, Ryan?
That's why. Look, I don't know if there's more. Teach me. I'm gonna leave that right there.
Okay. This is. I was almost in it. Well, I agree with Shonda until you threw that. No, I got my. So speaking of that, let me plug that in. First of all, I want you guys to pay attention to the rainbow earrings. I am supporting Pride Month.
There you go.
And we also featured the Queen's English dictionary. That's right, Shonda. So, Shonda, what does gender? What's the definition of gender?
But while you talk,
gender.
While you talk,
Perfect. But I agree with what Shonda said, Ryan. And if I am wrong, educate us, because I didn't even think about what's the difference between sex, then, and gender.
Well, time out.
Okay.
Before you go any further, this is not really about Ryan telling you whether you're right or wrong. I was curious.
Okay.
I don't claim to have the right answer here. That's why I want to have this conversation to see what you all think versus what I think, so on and so forth. So this is not going to be a lesson per se. Just share what your take is. I share mine, and we throw it together.
Right. And I agree with Shonda. My thoughts is what you were born as. I was born a female. So therefore my preference is, and my gender is she, her, hers. There are some people who are he, him. And then there's the transgender with what they want you to recognize them as. But I believe it is what you were born as. And I was born a female. That's what gender means to me. Genetics. Shonda.
Okay, so it says in the historical context, so I got my glasses on. This refers to the characteristics associated with masculinity and femininity. And the example is, I went to Sophia's gender reveal party. She's having a boy. I can't wait to buy him his first baseball bat and mitt.
See, Ryan. So then I ask you, Professor David, what is the difference between gender and sex?
So first of all, that definition obviously was according to whoever wrote that book. And if you go to Webster, somebody wrote that too. The reason why I want to have this conversation through this question out there was to see if we got different definitions or explanations for what gender are. What I'm hearing now seems to be somewhat of a consensus between the two of you guys, which it's very hard for you to tease apart gender from sex. They seem to be overlapping a lot, and that's okay. That's fine. That makes sense. My understanding and again, this is not, I don't want to claim to be an expert and have the end all be all definition per se. I can just share with you how I view gender in the context of sex, because I think the reason why we have to have this conversation is because there's a lot of confusion, because first of all, we are not distinguishing the two from each other, sex versus gender. I'll get into that in a moment. And two, once we distinguish sex from gender, we're taking what gender is and morphing it and changing the description or the conversation about what that is and the definition of what that is. And then that opens things up. There's a whole can of worms there. Let's just go simply put. And I think this is pretty much a consensus that most people would agree on. And this is maybe a way for you guys to conceptualize it and think about it. So sex is your biology, your genetic, how you're obviously your biological genetics, whether you're male or female. We can just leave that at that sex. And there are anomalies, there are variations there. There are intersex individuals that are very rare, but it does. So we'll acknowledge that just for the sake of argument, because that's what someone will jump in and say. But as far as male, female, sex, male, female, that's what you are born as, male or female, as far as the sex is concerned. Agree? Biology, right? Genetics. Can't really argue that. Then the question is, okay, if that's sex, that's what you're born as, that's who you are. What is gender? What it seems to be, at least originally, and what's gotten crazy is we've gotten away from this. Gender really has become, or I should say gender evolved as a social construct, the explanation of the definition of how the sex that you are manifests into society and how you're seen by other people. So what does it mean to be a male versus be a female aside from your anatomy? You are a woman, Shonda. You are a woman, TK. I am a man. What does that mean in a social context? What does that mean aside from just your biology or your genetics? That is where we have this term gender, which is how we describe what I don't want to say prototypical, but maybe stereotypical male is versus female. That's where you get into gender norms. You get into stereotypes. And so I think what's happened, and this is where I want to have this conversation to get a little bit deeper on it. What's happened is we've kind of confused the two. You can be born, obviously, a male or a female, and then you take on a certain identity or a gender that is in line with more masculine in a sense, which is males, females, which is more feminine. The argument comes in to say, well, we can just swap those, switch those, and there can be different variations, and we'll just call that something else. But my question really was going to be originally more so about, does gender stem from sex? Because the mistake I see a lot of people trying to make, which it falls flat on its face, is they're trying to have a conversation about gender and in a way that doesn't relate to sex at all. And that to me is the non-starter. Gender absolutely was derived from sex. I mean, I don't know how you could have that conversation. There would be no conversation about gender without sex. That's really what I mean, TK.
I'm still confused. I mean, you're taking me to class.
No.
But gender, you're so right. On an application, when they ask for our sex, it says male or female. It doesn't say gender. However, I've been told, now that times are changing and there is transgender and people can put their preference, that they're thinking about changing that on applications by placing the word gender, replacing the word sex with gender.
Yeah, and that opens up a whole host of problems, because then you have to define exactly what gender is. And then if you define what gender is, then you go against that if you have something that contradicts that. So I won't even go into that as far as making those changes, because sex really... Again, when you talk about transgender, you talk about identity, that is an identity that a person has for themselves, of themselves. And that is what matters, how you see yourself. The thing with gender is it's geared towards a social aspect of our existence. Right? We have that in place, or I should say it manifests as a social aspect. We want to know male or female on an application. It depends on what the application is, obviously. But we want to know that as a distinguishing characteristic, which we can define, male versus female. Gender, not so much. We can have stereotypical gender norms, or we can have certain norms, but gender is a little bit more, I don't like the word fluid in this case, but it's a little bit more open to interpretation. But my point was, no matter what your conversation about gender is, it's based on and predicated on sex in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's the opposite gender of the sex you were born or the same, you're still by definition acknowledging that gender stems from sex. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. But
so to separate it, first of all, to compare, to talk about the two together, I think that's a mistake. And then to totally separate the two. The argument for me is gender, whatever your idea or definition of gender is, it derives from the two sexes. Now, I think the mistake that we make in today's day and age is we still follow stereotypical gender roles or norms that are here from decades, centuries ago. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that, and then I'll let you guys have the last word about this. When you look at gender, it could be argued that it's socially constructed, meaning people decided what it is to be a man versus be a female. Let me back up. Sorry. male, female, sex. Man, woman, gender. Follow me? Male, female, male, female, sex.
Okay.
Man, woman are terms people will use as a gender description.
Okay. I got you.
So male, female shouldn't be debatable. Male, female speaks to what sex you are. Now, whether you're a man or a woman, or you identify as a man, or whatever you want to talk about, man versus woman, that's more so the terms you could use to describe gender. I don't know if y'all are following me, but I want to finish.
I caught you on that one. That was a great definition.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. To acknowledge that gender is different than sex, but also to acknowledge that the terminology there. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about gender and you're talking about men and women, you're still talking about something that on some level derived and came from sex. My question is anybody thinking about where these gender stereotypes came from? Was it just somebody one day, a king sitting on a chair said, all right, we're going to make all women do this and all men do this? Was it somebody that one person just decided? Or maybe, possibly, it was over time, over centuries and centuries of behavior between men and women with each other. There were certain characteristic behaviors that men exhibited, certain strengths they had, versus females and certain characteristics or behaviors. Now, the argument's going to be, well, women have the stereotypical behaviors that they have because of the patriarchy, and men oppressed them and they made them have their stereotypical female characteristics or gender roles that they have, and men have the others. And you can make that argument if you want to, but it's still not speaking to the fact that before all this, no matter what you're talking about here, were there behaviors on some level that were more characteristic of men and other behaviors that are more characteristic of females. And that's where you start to talk about masculine and feminine. And that's maybe where genders actually first evolved. But now we're so sophisticated, we don't need to abide by or buy into or follow, I guess you should say, those old stereotypical gender roles or norms for, say, women or men. That's where we can say, okay, those might have originated somewhere for a good reason based on raw behaviors in the wild. But we're more sophisticated now, so let's stop looking at men and women as cave people that have certain roles that were almost animalistic. So that's my take on the evolution of gender from sex differences. And I think that also there are people out there that amazingly enough will still deny that there are differences between men and women, and that's just a non-starter as well. There are fundamental differences, and I'd like to get into those in another show. But your thoughts about my distinction between sex and gender, the distinction between male, female versus man and woman, and how gender has evolved and gender roles have evolved literally from sex differences or behavioral differences from men and women.
Shonda, where's my blue tape?
Oh, damn. There they go.
Shonda, it's your turn. Nope.
Y'all let me host and pick these topics. And next thing you know, I get myself all dug into a hole here by myself with everybody taping their mouth shut. Well, there you go, folks. Those are our thoughts. Have a good one. See you next week. Go ahead, Shonda. Say something.
I'm gonna be quiet. I got nothing to say.
So, okay, I do have a comment. I don't know if it's a statement, comment, whatever. As you were talking, I was thinking about today, the world we live in now.
Yes.
How are we going to maneuver through this, removing the gender from birth certificates?
I told
the
you.
Sex or the gender,
you,
Shonda? The sex or the gender?
I believe
they said
gender. I believe it was gender, that they will allow parents to choose what gender they want to put on the birth certificate.
But that's the problem. They're making sex and gender the same thing. Choose your gender all you want, but was that child a male or a female? And next to sex, put what it was born as.
I agree with you, Ryan, but that's not the world we live in.
What do you mean? It's not the world. It's the world I live in. They live in a different world. I can say that.
No, Shonda is correct. They get to choose the gender.
So what you're telling me is there are people out. Let me not. I was about to go in.
It's Pride Month. Ryan, bring it back.
It doesn't matter, but that's disrespectful to people who were celebrating this month for the people. We're not. This doesn't mean that you can't speak on these topics. For instance, well, let me not even go there. Sure, it's Pride Month, and I'll say this any month of the year. There are parents out there who, as the child is born, clearly male or female, they will decide what kind of pet they want to raise.
Right. They're going to.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
A picture frame.
But that should be
they want.
That should be problematic in terms of the parent choosing something for the child that the child has not grown into, evolved into, or decided for themselves. I have a problem with that.
And that's the thing, because now parents are saying, oh, my child can choose what they want, right? But if that's the case, how are we picking their gender or sex at birth?
And that
If
should
we're
be
saying they can choose what they want.
that should be controversial. But that should be controversial because there are plenty of people out there in this same community that we're celebrating this month that will disagree with that and say that that's absolutely shouldn't be the case. And that's the other thing we get into trouble with these months where we celebrate communities or particular people. There's no one person who speaks for everybody in that community.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? So to sit here and assume that everybody who fits that description or that identity, that characteristic that we're celebrating this month, all agrees on everything and thinks the same way, that's ridiculous. There are millions of individual people who have maybe similar sexual orientations or identities, but they think different things. They don't have to agree.
I just want to know why our comment section has gotten quiet. Not one person has commented on this topic.
They all got on blue tape. They all got
your blue tape on your mouth.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, share my clip, man. Blame it on me, man. Go ahead. That traffic will start up.
No, Ryan, you have the right to your opinion.
Since 8:54.
I'm just exploring this. I'm coming to you in a minute, Shonda. I'm just exploring this, and I really would like it, Kimberly. All she could do is laugh in the comments. All I can do is explore it and listen to somebody's take on it. I've listened to arguments between other people all day long. That's one of the reasons why I'm having this conversation with you all, because I've listened to arguments and I know generally where the arguments go. I've already heard them all. I know really what they go. So in terms of gender at birth, though, Shonda, what you're talking about there is an adult deciding what a baby is seen as socially, not what they were born as. That's the two different things that are almost undeniable. Yeah. That's a conversation they can have with their doctor or legally or whatever the case is. But I think you have to have them both be there. Kay says she's trying to be quiet and learn rather than pepper the chat with her commentary. No, that's an excuse, Kay. You staying quiet. We know what you're doing. Don't play.
But no, I agree with Casey too. I am learning. You're teaching me a lot, and I'm thankful that you're such. You're skilled in this area, Ryan. I have my personal belief and my personal feeling.
Right. No, but I appreciate that, TK. If nothing else, I'm taking a chance and I'm risking having a conversation with other educated individuals who have opinions and also have perspectives as adults to see what we can come up with and where we see this and how we see this thing, so we can all get closer to an understanding that is shared. That's really what I want to do. That's why I'm risking. That's what I'm trying to do here. It's not an agenda of mine.
Yeah. Look at what Katrina said.
You are at birth what God made you, meaning your biology, your genetics. If you grow and believe something different for yourself, then great. Like, that's what I mean. There's a distinction between the two. That's all I'm saying. But again, I have no agenda here. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm trying to facilitate a conversation to see where people where they stand, because this word is used a lot. And if we all think something differently or we don't have the understanding of it, what's this conversation? Why are we even using this word? What good is it? So anyway, thank you all for obviously humoring me and listening to my take on this, but also thank you all for risking taking the risk in today's day and age of speaking on it, because it's a risk. Unfortunately, it really is.
It's sad.
I think that it is sad because we'll only get further, even if some people don't like it or take it the wrong way. I think we'll only get further as we speak more, because we can figure out what we maybe need to check in ourselves. We can figure out what we maybe need to add. If we all stay quiet, we keep thinking the same thing to ourselves and pushing it down the road, and then we're in private telling everybody what we really think anyway. So let's just talk about it.
Shonda know I'm gonna call her after this show.
Exactly. That's fine. Good. At least I started it.
But Travis said, great topic though, and it does need to be discussed. But like Shonda said, it's such a sensitive topic.
Of course,
next thing you know, people gonna cancel us. They ain't gonna watch it no more. So listen, I pick my battles.
This conversation is not just for us; it's for those people who are feeling like, and I don't think anybody's going to cancel anybody about this conversation, because we're inviting them to the conversation.
That's right.
That's why we're having the topic, and I just wanted to throw it out there to see what it was. So thank you, Travis, appreciate that, and thank you, Kimberly, appreciate that. But I just wanted to see what that was about, and also there's a way to have these sensitive conversations, TK, without being offensive.
That's right.
Like, absolutely, I will. Anything that I'm saying that there's nothing here that I have an agenda to intentionally offend anybody. Now, I can't help if somebody decides to get offended. That's a different story. That's why nobody wants to talk nowadays. They're afraid of someone else getting offended on their own. But I know my heart. I know what I'm doing right now. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. If somebody gets offended, we can talk about that personally. But the goal here and my goal really was just to have a conversation from an educated standpoint, not to say anything that's, with an agenda or to disrespect anybody. But I think that goes without saying. And I invite anybody else with a different view or more information to join the conversation. Leave it in the comments. We will read the comments during and after this show. So that's just something I wanted to get you all's take on. I wish Cindy was here, and I'll get her take later on. Maybe we can jump back on that. But I'll also read the comments. Leave your thoughts in the comments, guys. If you want to leave them anonymous, go ahead. If you want to DM me solo, just let me know what it is. But I want to know what it is. Shonda, will you do us a favor and change the subject right now and talk about your community corner real quick? We want to just throw it over to you real quick and give us some information.
Oh, happy
I sure
birthday!
will. Thank you so much. Tonight, I am going to be talking about, like, as soon as I can find it, because y'all know these eyes, honey. It's a obstacle every week for me because I can't keep up with my 2 pair of glasses that I have. So tonight, I'm going to highlight. There's a team called Dual Threat, and the creator or founder of this team is named Cindy Barnes. She is a good friend of mine. Our boys played high school football together, and she created this team. And I had no idea until a couple of weeks ago, and I'm super proud of her. So I'm going to put this picture while I read it. The team is called Dual Threat. We created this team with 12 high school students. 5 of them will be leaving for college this summer, and we have 15 who want to join. We created this team because so many of them depend on football as an outlet, and there are moments where the season is out and they have so much downtime. But with this 7-on-7 and 5-on-5 team, we can provide them with a year-round opportunity to stay active in football. We just began this team, but at the moment we are missing out on tournament opportunities due to the lack of financial abilities to be able to travel. We need sponsors who will be willing to help us raise money or ways of making this traveling possible, as well as much needed equipment, gear, cleats, and clothing. We can accept monetary contributions as well as gift cards for hotels, gas for traveling, drinks and snacks for during the games and practices. Some of the boys say how football keeps them safe. It also helps them keep their minds off of issues at home and so forth. Out of my own pocket as a single mom, I had uniforms made and purchased a few things that we need to get started. My goal is to raise all I can to be able to get them to more tournaments and the new teammates in uniform. I plan to grow and create a middle school and elementary team as well. I am so proud of you, Miss Cindy Barnes. Cindy is a mom of 3 children, and she's that mom that everybody can go to the house and chill and just have a good
Mhm.
time. She really has a heart for kids, and want to make sure that we help her grow this organization that she has created. She does not charge the kids, as she says. She gets sponsorships or tries to get sponsorships so that she can keep them off the streets and out of trouble. So if you can, her contact information is right here. Cindy Barnes, 305-776-2151. Or you can email SCIDRAE524 at iCloud.com. Wherever you can send $1, $5, $10, 20, please make sure we support her while she's supporting our youth. Thank you so much, Cindy. And
Oh,
back
that's
to you, Ryan.
awesome. She's amazing.
She
That's
is.
awesome.
I'm so proud of her. So proud of her.
Well, thank you for that, Shonda,
You're
obviously.
welcome.
Um, it is 9:12, so we're a few minutes over 9 o'clock. I want to say that first of all, once again, it's no easy task trying to run this show, bringing the topics, facilitate it, and so on. Ladies have done a good job. I'll only get better, that's for sure. I want to thank the audience, obviously, always. I don't care if it's one person or 1,000 people that are listening and watching. Thank you all for deciding to spend your Monday night with us, whether it's to
That's
just
right.
watch, to listen, to leave a comment. But your engagement is important, obviously, because you're other people out there that can share these ideas with us. And you
Yes.
can also share the information
That's
that we
right.
give for you guys, reach the community through you all. So it's always important. So I appreciate you all being here. I will just say that don't forget, obviously, to look us up on social media if you want to connect with us, to follow us, to help promote the show a little bit more. Obviously, people are always wondering, how can I watch the show? How can I listen to the show? There you go. There's the information. And pretty much all the social media is the same. You see what my social media is, as always, at the Ryan David. You can reach me as an individual. TK, yours is there. And you know that
Hmm.
Shonda is doing that pain purpose. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Ladies, do you have anything to say on the way out before we go and we let these people enjoy the rest of their Monday night?
I just want to
I,
say that Thursday is my birthday.
you know
Here's
what,
it for birthday, y'all.
Ryan, and you know she's gonna expect us to take us out. So
I'm
Ryan,
just
please,
saying.
let's make sure that we take her to
I
Black
make my
Point
own
again.
schedule, so just tell me when I need
Uh,
to be ready.
Are we
can
doing
you
the black?
imagine?
Are we doing the Black Point again?
Well, you know what? It's her birthday. Where does she want to go?
I just don't want
Okay.
that watered down bucket again.
Oh yeah, she had a pretty bad experience there. We gotta let her pick the spot. That bucket was rough.
Okay,
You
we
pick
gonna
the
let
spot,
you
let
pick
us
this
know.
spot.
And hey, we'll take some suggestions from the host. Where should we take Shonda for her birthday? Maybe we do that.
Yes.
Put
That's
up a poll or
right.
something. Kimberly, thank you so
Hey.
much. I appreciate it. Everybody else, thank you, ladies. I will look for you guys next week. All right. Have a good night, y'all.
All right. Good night.
All right, ladies.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Wanna live with you. I just wanna love you.
Why was I waving at the screen like